Here we have a replay. John McQuilkin, John Reed just behind him. John Reed puts the power down too early and he spins again. Can it be a little bit embarrassing as the manager of the works team explaining that one away?
Especially as it's for the second time. Now then, here's the dice for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th.
That's Martin Short being followed through by Steve Cole, Steve Guglielmi and John Williams. A very impressive show, as we were saying earlier. Back on board with Martin Short.
And this the view as he comes into Shell Oil's hairpin. Carefully feeds the power in. Now here come the leaders once again, down to Knickerbrook for the final time. And Blower, I'm sure, now has enough of a cushion that he can, in racing terms anyway, cruise home without having to worry about Kent behind him.
You see Lee Broom switching his headlights on there. Not that dark a day.
And here comes the leader, Colin Blower, into Old Hall for the final time. This is one race that John Kent won't win. And Colin Blower comes over Deersleep and up towards the checkered flag to take victory in the first of 2 races here at Oulton Park. John Kent coming home in 2nd place and Ian Flux in 3rd. Confirmation of those results then with a win for Blower from Kent and Flux. Martin Short hanging on to 4th place with Steve Cole in 5th and Steve Guglielmi in 6th. Time now for our 2nd of the races from the TVR Tuscan Challenge at Oulton Park. And the grid positions are taken from the finishing positions of race 1. So pole position has gone to Colin Blower with alongside of him John Kent. Row 2 is Ian Flux and Martin Short as away from the line they go.
And John Kent determined not to let Martin Short get through there. I think Martin got the message.
Not only did he get the message, he lost a couple of places as well.
Steve Cole with a blinding start up into 3rd place. Flux charging all over the back of him. Short right behind him, Steve Guglielmi behind him.
Now this time they seem to have all made it through Cascade safely. The question really is whether or not John Kent can do anything about Colin Blower's dominance here this weekend. Kent has been the man to beat all season, yet here at Oulton, it's Blower at the front.
On board with Martin Short, looking ahead at Ian Flux and Steve Cole.
Well, Fluxy using all the curbs and a bit more there as he came out of Shell Oil's hairpin and now around Fulston. A very packed field of TVRs.
We've got huge grids in the TVR Tuscan Challenge at the moment, breaking all previous records.
Now into Knickerbrook they come. And Short with a little bit of work to do after that fairly awful start where he got involved with John Kent on the run down towards Old Hall. Short will be looking to fight his way back up through the field. Now on the approach to Lodge, oil flags are out and that could be interesting with 26 TVRs all making their way down here at racing speeds on the first lap.
Steve Cole defends on the inside. Ian Flux takes the wider line in, hoping to get the sharper line on the outside. Right on Steve Cole's tail as they accelerate up over Deersleep and down the main pit straight.
Now on board now with Martin Short. Ahead of him there is Flux and then Cole as they go around Old Hall and now blasting down what used to be known as the Avenue and into Cascades. Flux on the inside. Flux moves up a spot, does he? Yes. Cole's gone wide and that's going to allow Short to move up too.
Side by side they go up to Island and there's Martin Crass spinning off. Martin Stewart just avoiding him as the rest of the pack stream through.
Well, that car of Martin Crass's is the latest of the TVR Tuscans to be built. It's the newest car here and will now end up somewhere near the back of the field after that moment. Now here's this 3rd, 4th and 5th place dice. Flux now in 3rd, Short now in 4th, Cole now in 5th and crawling all over the back of him there is Steve Guglielmi.
Simon Wayne charging up behind there. As we see the leaders, Colin Blower, John Kent. John Kent doesn't seem to be able to make any ground on Colin Blower.
Well, Blower, as we said, has been very much the man to beat here at Oulton all weekend. He's been on pole position for both races. He won the first, and I must say it looks very much as though he's going to do the same in the second race.
Ian Flux, it has to be remembered, in a 1989 car. Most of the rest of the field in much newer cars, so Ian Flux really showing what a skilled driver he is to be able to make such an old car go so well.
Well, few would argue with that. Flux, very, very quick indeed and immensely talented. Many people often wonder why he didn't make it further in motorsport, but I guess a lot of that comes down to luck and finance. Colin Blower, though, continues to dominate this race here at Oulton, with John Kent seemingly having no answer.
Of course, John Kent doesn't have to try too hard, has quite a points lead, so better to hang on to a second place than throw it all away and not finish.
Nonetheless, still a long way to go in the championship and an awful lot of races to be run. Kent can't afford to be too complacent and can't afford to let what is in effect his main championship rival now, Colin Blower, win too many times. Through goes Blower. The other man who's right up there in the championship is Martin Short. Short, you'll remember, carrying the onboard camera. He's fought his way back up to 4th place. So the positions for the top 4 are exactly the same as the finishing positions from race 1 at the moment.
You see Nick Cresswell charging through, and he loses it. Nick Cresswell trying to find a way past Gavin Cooper, who is rather tricky to overtake, shall we say, and Nick Cresswell trying just a little bit too hard and loses it.
And that's not the ideal place to spin either, in the dip there just after Lodge Corner before Deers Leap, because as you saw from the camera position, the entrance to that dip is completely blind. So a few worrying moments for the following drivers, I suspect, there.
We see Steve Guglielmi chasing Steve Cole. In fact, we saw the brake lights tap on as they accelerated out of Knickerbrook. Steve Cole making life difficult. We see Bob Sands in the Naughty Nobby sponsored car and Gavin Cooper with a new bonnet. After his shunt in the first race, that's Gavin Cooper actually with John Kent's old bonnet. Maybe bring a bit of luck for him.
Well, Cooper could certainly do with that after the first race. There goes Colin Blower, stretching that lead ever further at the head of the pack. And here comes the checkered flag for Blower and victory number 2 at Oulton Park. So 2 wins out of 2 for Colin Blower from Hinckley. Great result for him. John Kent will be happy, I guess, with 2nd place and the points for that. Ian Flux in 3rd, Martin Short 4th, Steve Cole in 5th, and Steve Guglielmi in 6th. The championship positions now look like this, with John Kent 104 points ahead of Colin Blower.
Brands Hatch and the qualification race for the TVRs sees in pole position Ian Flux, very much the man to watch, with alongside him Martin Short. Now, one car, the fastest man in practice, doesn't start, and that's the man that they've all got to beat when they come to the final, Colin Blower. And what a field has got to beat them. John Kent some way back, something he won't like at all, and the onboard camera rests with Gavin Cooper as away they go. Cooper makes a reasonable start, but a bit too much wheel spin, Ben.
Indeed, and as they come into the first corner, Ian Flux gets a nose ahead of Martin Short, and in 3rd place, John Kent, as they scream round paddock and accelerate up towards Druids. Puff of smoke from a car in front.
And very close, tight battle going on behind. Into and out of the gravel. No, he's stuck in it very firmly. Number 54, I'm afraid that's the race run for Gareth Lloyd.
Gareth hasn't actually driven a rear-wheel drive car before. He's been busy in a Ford Escort Cosworth, 4-wheel drive, of course. So maybe that rear-wheel drive power of the Tuscan caught him out there.
Well, in the lead, it's the virtuoso performance of a man who's made his name very much. Ian Flux in all sorts of cars and doing it again, but look at this clutch of cars behind Fluxy. They're all over the place.
John Kent on his own a little bit, but there's a real battle up there for 2nd place between, well, almost teammates, Martin Short and Steve Guglielmi. Steve, very quick, will hire runner-up, and Martin Short, ex-Rover racer.
Yes, he's taken to TVRs like a duck to water after an altercation last year after the British Grand Prix with the Rovers. He moved over to TVRs and, frankly, has proved that this is perhaps what he should have been doing for a year or two.
Yes, adapting from front, in this case, to rear-wheel drive very, very well.
Guglielmi pressuring him. You'll see on the back of Jason Yeoman's car there, a new back. Well, that's as a result of a practice indiscretion, Ben.
Yes, unfortunately, during testing on Thursday, Jason went off and hit the barriers at the bottom of paddock very, very hard indeed. But all congratulations to Colin Blower Motorsport, who managed to get him out for the race.
Yes, Dad popped up the road, sold a few BMWs, and there you have it. Brakes, changes down. Gavin Cooper trying desperately hard to improve his position, but finding it very difficult indeed in this company.
Watch the battle slightly further back, including Giles Cooper, who had a terrible time at Brands last time we were here.
But a lot of pressure on for that second, third place battle.
Steve Guglielmi tried to go down the inside. Can't make it there. Storm along here. Braking for paddock. Martin Short puffs a bit of smoke on the inside line, and Steve Guglielmi touches the back of Martin Short's car, probably unavoidable. You see the trailing edge of Steve Guglielmi's bonnet lift up there as he taps it. Both of them seem to be able to stay on the island though, Ned.
Yes, very, very close to this battle. In fact, 2 taps, I'd say, in the course of that little indiscretion. Whoops! Catch it, cowboy. He does. Ian Flux just getting the tail out a little bit there as he goes past the slower car. And you can see Fluxy getting a bit twitchy now. I think the tyres are warm. Flux has got a good lead. Flux is enjoying himself. Nigel Tuscan, the man who was lapped now, is about to be caught by this little brute.
And of course this battle between Steve Guglielmi and Martin Short has enabled the following cars, John Kent and Gavin Cooper, to catch them. So Steve Guglielmi hasn't now just got to worry about how to get past Martin Short. He's going to have to defend against John Kent.
Flash of the lights there, but I don't think it's going to help. Nobody's going to find it easy to get out of the way of 4 big TVRs as they come down the hill here. Big V8 engines pumping out well over 450 horsepower. These cars certainly spectacular to watch, spectacular to drive.
Flux locks up there. I think Matt Doman had decided at the last minute to let him through and caught Flux by surprise.
And everybody would like to be ahead of number 88, Martin Short. And Martin Short would like to stay exactly where he is. Can't believe that Martin Short isn't going to find himself set upon again very shortly. That's Kent going round the outside. He'll never get away with that. But he does, and he's got the inside as they come down towards Graham Hill Bend itself. But no, he drops back.
Of course, there's no point really risking the cars in this first qualification race because all they are doing is racing for grid positions. So there's no point in totally stacking the car and being unable to start this afternoon.
That's John Williams in 77. No, he doesn't play the guitar. And here, with a cheery wave of the hand, Flux, both hands off the wheel, across the line to win the qualifier. Ian Flux then, in a car that started out in 1989, behind him Martin Short. And then Steve Guglielmi, that's the top 3. And it doesn't augur well for a Blower run all on his own at the front when we come to the final. 47 years old Hinckley Garage owner Colin Blower on the line, granted a divine start there as he gets ahead of Ian Flux, and that's going to make life difficult for Fluxy, even with all his skill. Short slotting himself into 3rd place, and Guglielmi, I think, has got himself in behind them. Yes, he has. Where is the man who leads the championship? Whoops, there we see a coming together which sees off the road Gavin Cooper, collects it back together again. That was not his fault in any way, shape or form. Steve Cole was involved in that as well, and I think he might have had a tap from the back then.
I think so, but it's going to be difficult to tell from our camera angle who it was. But here come the leaders. Colin Blower on fresh tyres, Ian Flux behind him, Martin Short behind him.
John Kent hanging on behind Guglielmi, and there is Cole, and I think that's more than a front nose cone on that car. Otherwise, I reckon he'd have soldiered on round to the pits and changed it, because he's a man who never gives up.
Side by side, Steve Guglielmi and Martin Short. Steve Guglielmi goes through, but overcooks it. Off he goes. Martin Short back to his 3rd position. Steve Guglielmi rejoins just in front of Martin Prass. Probably quite an exciting moment there for both drivers concerned.
Yes, it was a restart which perhaps left a little bit desired, but on the other hand, sitting there where he was not an option that I wanted to have kept either. Martin Crass, I must say, with his new car has gone well. And here we saw an incident at the start. Now, if you look very carefully, behind there's a little bit of a wiggle going on. And I suspect strongly that there was a little tap there from the back, but I don't think we'll say who it was. Jason Yeoman's one of the cars delayed in that incidentally, and whoops, that's a problem. Flux has got his hand up. Flux is slowing. It looks as if he's got no final drive, and Ian Flux is out of the contest. In all the confusion, John Kent there made himself a bit of ground and almost, I think, made himself a challenger now. Here is the luckless Ian Flux. The old girl let him down in the transmission department, and I'll bet he's savage about that. Martin Short back there in third place.
There we see Giles Cooper coming through in front of this battle here between Roger Condon and Peter Wheeler. Giles, as we said before, having a much better race now than he had last time he was at Brands, as we see the leaders stream up towards Druids. John Kent in second place, now by the looks of things having to fend off quite a determined challenge from Martin Short.
Now the interesting thing is Blower, who you may recall in previous races has not always gone quickly at the start, has changed the setup on the car. So the big question is, having perhaps given away a little bit in the terms of durability to get speed at the start, is he going to find himself caught towards the end of the race? Time alone will tell. Good try there by Giles Cooper. And don't forget, Short is still there. He still would like the place back. Hasn't got it, but it's not for want of trying. I must say, Martin Crass going a great deal better in his new car than ever he was in the old one. Back there in 7th place at the moment, but very creditable for the ex-broadcaster. Nice change to say good things about him rather than the fact that he's visiting the scenery. Oh, over the curbs. Should you do that, Ben?
Tuscans don't normally take particularly kindly to being thrown over the curbs quite as roughly as that. Maybe Colin Blower's having to try a bit harder than he expected.
Well, I certainly think that he was pressuring very, very hard there. Perhaps a bit too hard.
You see Gareth Lloyd coming through here, having charged up from the back of the grid after falling off at Druids on the first lap in the first race. And I think that John Kent has closed. John Kent has closed on Colin Blower. Colin Blower is going to have a fight of it.
I'm quite sure he's going to have a fight on it. No question about it at all. Gareth Lloyd, incidentally, has come from the back up to as high as 12th place, which I think is pretty creditable. But this is the last lap. This is the last challenge. This is Blower in front, and Kent behind him, and right behind Martin Short. And one mistake by the man in the lead could throw it all away as they come up to take the checkered flag here in the TVR Tuscan Challenge at Brands Hatch, and it's a win for Colin Blower. Blower then the winner from the man who's dominating the championship, but certainly has not gone away from here with maximum points, and Short finishing in a fine third place. John Kent has a 92-point lead in the championship, but Short is closer to Blower than I'm sure Blower would like, and Flux too not far behind. Then it's Cole and Creswell. For round 11 of the TVR Tuscan Challenge at Snetterton, Martin Short comes into pole position. But there's some surprises there. A gearbox problem has sidelined John Kent. But look at Robin Brundle, first time out for a long time, and the brother of the Grand Prix driver, 6th fastest overall. Colin Blower alongside Short on the front row, and it's Blower who makes the best start. Off now towards Rich's corner for the first time. Beautiful start by Blower. We're with Martin Short being challenged and passed.
That's Steve Guglielmi going past Martin Short, but Martin Short, both of them indeed, have got past Colin Blower.
So Short into second place behind Guglielmi. Out comes the tail. Guglielmi corrects it, loses a bit of time as he does so. Could cost him actually a good place. And here's John Kent with a lot of work to do, having had a gearbox problem in practice. He's got a lot of work to do. Guglielmi in the lead, now being worried by Flux. Short tucks into third place. Blower is in fourth place. End of the straight. Coming now underneath the bridge and in towards the bomb hole, and a look on the inside there, but I think at that point in time, Ian Flux thought better of it, quite right too.
But if there's anyone who's good at putting pressure on a driver, it's Ian Flux. Very experienced. Steve Guglielmi slightly less so. Flux right on his tail as they go through. Martin Short even closer. Robin Brundle over the curbs. Charges out of the chicane.
Both Brundle and Blower locked up there, and that's where the cloud of smoke came from. I think there's another one behind where somebody else locked up too. But these three have broken away just a little bit as Flux looks at the inside. No question about it, he'd like to be past Guglielmi and feels that if he could do so, perhaps he could get away and build himself a little cushion up. But it's not that easy. They're oh so evenly matched. Whoops, that's Brundle with the tail hanging out. He really hasn't driven as much as he should have done, Ben, because he's extremely talented, was very good in a saloon car, and to see him come back at this level is very good. And this, on the inside, a huge effort now. Snaking under braking, collects it back together again, and that's Guglielmi spinning. Guglielmi spins, they all miss him, collects it back together again. He gets away in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place, and he's still really in the hunt because he hasn't lost that much ground.
No, but it looks like so. John Kent has made up another place. So we see Kent right up there. He's got past Robin Brundle. So John Kent is now in 3rd place. Robin Brundle behind. Where's Martin Short gone, though? Martin Short seems to have dropped back.
I think he went off cam at the point that incident happened, and he actually dropped back from now Flux, who's built up quite a good lead. Coming up now, challenging very hard. That's Steve Cole.
And the younger Guglielmi is looking for a way past the very experienced Steve Cole. Steve Cole, the back, steps out on his car. Guglielmi's going to have a chance.